Hello,
Hey,
I'm Rick.
I'm Cindy. Today we are Dry Run Dulcimer and we are here putting together lesson 10 of the Play by Ear Challenge. What we are going to discuss today, and we have alluded to this in the past, and really who has talked about it is the authors of the different books that I've been reading and researching from, and then also the people probably, I think they talked about it on some of the videos that we linked that people could go watch the YouTube channels and stuff. But we talked a lot about how learning music is like learning a new language. And so we just kind of want to expound on that a little bit because I think this is going to help us know where we are, what to expect, and what we can expect as we go down the road too.
It definitely is a way to communicate, not
It sure
through
is.
not through words, not verbal, but it's definitely communication. It has to be there.
Well, when they talk about learning a language, they are talking about like speaking a language. They're not talking about reading a language and reading the words, And so when you're playing by ear, you're learning it like you do when you learn to speak a language. You're learning it all through ear. You're experiencing it and picking it up. So that's kind of where we want to go today. And they says, I'm just going to start by reading. I have some notes here that I have printed off of line, and I want to make sure that we hit all this stuff. So I'll be looking down and bringing up things. But learning music by ear is very similar to learning a language because both skills develop through listening, imitation, pattern recognition, and gradual fluency rather than through the written symbols alone. So, and we're not even really working on written symbols. So if you throw them out, we don't even have the written symbols. But if you think about it, when a kid starts out, the first thing that they do is they listen.
Yep.
They hear us talk, they hear us read to them, but they hear our everyday conversations, they hear the different sounds, they hear the different rhythms and the different patterns of the language over and over and over. So that's step one. And it's step one in music as well. The next comes imitation. You're going to start imitating the sounds. So language learners copy the sounds they hear from others. And at first it might be really rough or it might be incomplete, but imitation will gradually improve with your pronunciation and timing.
That falls back on our call and response video that we did last week. And
Yeah.
there's going to be more of. Maybe by the time you see this, there may be another one. Because
We hope it.
we enjoyed it and we got a good feedback from it. So, but that is imitation. That's building skills. That's what we talked about. That's what that does. You're not really learning a whole song. You're just trying to imitate what you hear. And if you can
Well, let me
just start
tell you,
doing that.
You are so smart because you know what the very next sentence says?
What?
In music, call and response and playing along with others works exactly that same way to where you're hearing and imitating.
I had a feeling it was headed that way. Even though I don't have any fancy notes. Look at my notes. I don't have any.
He doesn't have any notes, but he knows what he's talking about. So, and he's helpful with his insight. So we start hearing all these things, and we hear phrases on our instrument, and we hear notes, and we hear pitch, rhythm, and like we said, the phrasing. And so we're starting to, as we build our imitation skills, we're starting to learn all those things and get better, okay? And then this patterns that we learn and we're starting to imitate becomes vocabulary. Just like in a kid, it becomes words that they learn, but music has its own vocabulary. Its own vocabulary is scales, chord patterns, common melodic shapes, and rhythms. So you don't have to recognize any of the words, you're just recognizing all the sounds and the contours and the patterns. So that becomes your musical vocabulary. And once you build your vocabulary, that is when you start becoming fluent. Whether you're learning a language or you're talking, once you got the vocabulary down, you can start using your vocabulary fluently and just talking. Like me and Rick talk to each other and we don't think about what we're going to say next. We just have a thought and out it comes, you know? What was that face for?
Sometimes some crazy stuff comes out, but we're about used to it now. We've talked about a lot of things, been through a lot of things with the music. It all kind of falls back to the music, but you know, just like me asking you, do you know this? Well, every time we sit down to play and do like a dry run, she starts going through the list. Do you know this one? Do you know this one? And most of the time I'm shaking my head no, I don't have any idea what it is. But usually I add, if I could just hear a little bit of it, maybe I do. There's a lot of songs by the title that I don't know, but the melody may be familiar.
Well,
That
it's
language
because,
is there.
and you're used to hearing all these patterns and the rhythms and just the melodic shapes and stuff like they said. But like with the song that I just did for my parents, the Cassidy Waltz, you were able just to sit down and play along with me, and you never even heard that song.
No.
Because you were fluent now. You have musical fluency.
That, you know, in most songs, they'll follow a lot of the same patterns, so you can kind of, you know, after you do it for a while, you can kind of sense where it's going. And I could, you know, after playing it a time or two, I kind of knew where you were headed with it. So
You
it
could
made
tell.
it easier.
Well, I looked into this and I asked them, so what if an adult goes to learn a new language and they like go to a country where they're like immersed in it and stuff, and how long is it going to take an average adult to learn a language in a new country? Any guesses?
3 years.
Well, probably to become really fluent, that would probably be about right.
Oh.
They gave us a timeline of things, and they said when you're learning a language in the first 1 to 3 months, you'll start recognizing common words and phrases, and you can understand simple everyday interactions, and you may start speaking short phrases, but your speaking is going to be slow and hesitant. Okay?
Yep.
So now let's compare that to an average adult learner learning the language of music. The first 1 to 3 months, you're going to recognize whether the notes go up and down. You're going to slowly find simple melodies on your instrument. And I think that's kind of where we are.
Yep.
The third thing, it says tunes. A whole tune may take a long time to figure out. And we've been working on whole tunes, and I still don't have some of them that we've been working on totally figured out, but the ones that we started on, I'm definitely better on, the earlier ones, you know? So I think for myself, I'm right where I should be for 1 to 3 months. That makes me happy.
That's good.
So even though sometimes I feel like discouraged, I need to look.
I'm sure you're not alone. Everybody out there is nodding their head that it is easy to become discouraged.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
We've only been at this just like 2 months, really.
Not been very long.
2 months, just slightly over 2 months. So around when we get up to 6 months, and I'm going to skip what we can do in language. I'm just going to go what we can expect in the language of music. Around 3 to 6 months, they say that simple melodies, including hymns, folk songs, and children's tunes, start becoming easier to pick out. You begin recognizing common scale patterns and phrases. And finally, with repetition, some tunes can be learned in minutes instead of hours.
Exactly.
So that's big. That's big. And that's just right around the corner, between 3 and 6 months.
It won't take long. And once you're there, you'll be there from now on. It's only going to get better from there.
Well, they say from 6 to 12 months, many people can pick out most simple melodies fairly quickly. You will start hearing the chord changes, and they emphasize the 1, the 4, and the 5 because those are the major chords, and that's what we've already been introduced to, and we're starting to work on some. And then musical phrases begin to come familiar. They feel familiar instead of random. Like it's not something new, like what you've said. This is like reminding me of something we played before, or reminding me of another tune.
During the call and response, a lot of the things that you were playing, especially, I was hearing parts of a song. I intentionally threw in some parts of a song just to, kind of as a joke, but not really.
I'm
You know,
not
not
that
everyone would recognize, maybe, but hopefully you did recognize what it was. But in just some of the 4 or 5 note little phrases, you know, it kind of something was there, but I don't know what it was. I couldn't, you know, if I'd heard more of it, you know, it might have come out, and I say, oh yeah, here we go.
But see, I wasn't trying to put any phrases of any songs in. I didn't have any songs in my brain when I did them, but you still recognized them.
Your subconscious, they're in your brain, but pulling them out, you know, on demand.
Yes.
Or on command. That's the
Okay, so that's all going to happen between 6 to 12 months. And then between 1 to 3 years, playing by ear becomes more automatic. You can learn many tunes after hearing them just a few times. And then your improvising and noodling around on the instrument becomes easier. And that's because you've increased your fluency. So 3 years is a good time to expect to be really fluent in the music, and it could happen even earlier.
Yeah, not everyone's the same.
Yeah, and they say, why does it take time? Well, it takes time because you have to be able to audiate, hear it in your mind. You have to develop pitch recognition. You know, and I can often tell when a pitch is incorrect, but I definitely need to develop more of finding the correct pitch more on the first time. You know, mapping out your sound to motor movement, we've already talked about that, and the guy that wrote the book talked about that. And then our muscle memory on the instrument. So these are all things that we've talked about, and isn't it great that I can go to a different source and come up with stuff that supports some of the same stuff that we've already been looking at and talking about. They say that adults absolutely can develop these neural pathways, but they grow through frequent short exposure, not marathon practice sessions. And we've already talked about that too. You know, there's no sense in practicing too much and overdoing it. You're not doing yourself any good. Okay? So this is kind of like a review in many ways of things that we've talked about. But they say an adult who practices 10 to 15 minutes a day with focused listening exercises often progress much faster than those that only occasionally practice. And they say the exercises should include call and response, active listening, and audiation. Things that we've already been talking about.
I've heard all that before.
Yeah, once or twice. So 10 to 15 minutes a day is going to get you where you need to be. And that's encouraging to me, okay? So they say when you're learning a language by immersion, at first you might catch a few words, then you catch some phrases, and then eventually you're going to have whole conversations. And so right now, I'd say we're still at the words, but we're really knocking on the phrases door. That's where I think we are. But we're definitely getting there. They said that dulcimer players, and this was good news, dulcimer players often learn to play by ear faster than other instruments because the instrument is built in a way that supports our ear-hand connection. And I thought, well, that's good. So if you're going to learn to play by ear, the dulcimer is a good instrument to do it on. All right. It is typically tuned so that the melody string allows the diatonic scale, which is Rick's do-re-mi scale.
Do-re-mi.
Yeah, his do-re-mi scale. And of course, now if you have half frets, that changes a little bit. But basically, without the half frets, every time you move up a fret, you're moving up one note of the scale. or down, the same thing. You're moving down one note of the scale. So that makes it easier for us, and you're going to hit fewer wrong notes because it doesn't have all of the half notes and all of the notes that are not in the scale that you're playing in. So that's something that's encouraging. The next thing is the melody string simplifies the task, because most of the time we're playing the melody on the melody string. Sometimes we cross over.
Oh, yeah.
Especially on those lower notes, we got to
The
get over
bass
to the
string,
middle
yep.
string.
Middle and bass.
Yeah,
Yep.
and bass too.
The bass just for a different sound during the song. So every verse doesn't sound the same. A lot of times someone will go to that bass string and play the melody on that. Sounds nice.
And it's good to know that we can do that and easily get a different sound out of this instrument, since the bass string is generally tuned like the melody if you're in DAD tuning. So then that works. It's different if you're DAA, but we're not dealing with that right now. But as they say, the dulcimer itself, the tuning of it provides a constant tonal center, and it helps steady your ear and helps you stay orientated to the key of the tune, because it's, tuned with drones. So just strumming across all three strings helps us stay in the key that we're supposed to be in. They say traditional dulcimer music is very ear-friendly. It has clear melodic phrases. It has a lot of repetition and the predictable chord movements again. Those chord movements are...
You're asking me?
Yeah. What three major chords are we operating on?
1, 4, and 5.
1, 4, and 5. There you go. In the key of D, it's D, G, and A. So we got that down. Several people, including Rick.
You put me on the spot. My mind was thinking about something you had said before, and I wasn't even listening to what you were saying. I was distracted.
So noodling is actually very useful on the dulcimer because it leads to discovering the real melodic patterns, because the fretboard limits the notes to the scale. Biggest factor in learning to play by ear is not talent. It is exposure. You have to regularly listen closely to tunes, regularly audiate the tunes, and regularly search for them on your instrument. This will gradually build your neural network needed for ear playing, called 5 stages of learning to play by ear. Shall we talk about them real quick?
Heck yeah.
The first one is they call the treasure hunt stage. At the beginning, finding a melody feels like searching for hidden treasure. You might try too many frets before
Hunt and
finding
peck.
the right one.
Hunt and peck.
Hunt and peck. Move slowly through the tune and rely heavily on trial and error. So there you go with your hunt and peck. The next stage is what they call the up or down stage. Your ear will start noticing direction, and you begin hearing things like, that note is going higher, and that phrase drops down, and that melody is returning back to home.
I'm going to bring up something, and you can edit this out if you're not going to do it right now, with the test that you sent me that I took yesterday. Are you going to bring that? Is that coming into play in this lesson or in the future?
I was actually going to put that on a supporting little video.
On another video. It's
So
a good,
let's
it's
just-
a good one.
Do you want to talk about it here right now, and we can divide it
We
up?
can. It goes along with what you're talking about recognizing whether a note is higher or lower than a matching another note. Sometimes it's not that easy, especially when it gets into when they start playing chords, and you have to think about whether it's happy or major scale, or sad if it's a minor scale or key. So,
Yeah.
it gets a little tricky. It's not all just black and white. It's just not obvious at all. I thought it would be.
I'm going to come back to this now, the up and down stage. Do you remember when we first started and I told you, I said, I have trouble telling if a note is higher or lower, and you were kind of like, I ain't never heard of that.
And that didn't compute.
But I did. And then did you notice yesterday, I was trying to find something on wildwood flower, and then I was like, I know it goes up here. I know it goes up here. So I'm in the up and down stage.
We did a video. You posted it, didn't you?
Yes.
Video
yeah, jamming
to
along with
play
us.
along with us and play the songs that were the assignments, and she thought she was going to slip by without putting in Wildwood Flower, but I didn't let that one slide. I said, well, one more song.
He
But
loves to make me do stuff.
I haven't worked on that one yet.
The pattern recognition stage. Your brain starts recognizing musical phrases that appear in many tunes, and you'll begin noticing that there's a scale run, a familiar melodic shape, repeated phrases in fiddle tunes, and predictable endings. As far as that goes, I might recognize a little of the repeated phrases and maybe a little bit if it's a very, very predictable ending. But I don't think that I've really am recognizing scale runs or shapes yet.
You don't think you are yet?
I'm not thinking of it that way anyway. I'm not thinking, now I am thinking the higher and lower, but I'm not thinking, okay, we're going up, we're coming back down, and then we're dropping below, and I'm not doing all that yet.
I think that clutters your mind up. I don't think
You
you
think
should
so?
even be concerned about that. Just go with the flow.
Well, maybe. I mean, I think this is going to be, though,
Do you think some people are getting stressed out about this, about wanting to do it right and just be perfect doing this, and going too much that direction to be, to even be worried about it at all?
well,
'Cause
I don't know.
think it's, let us know in your comments. Are you stressed out about trying this and playing, and are you frustrated yet?
The prediction stage. Now your ear starts guessing what comes next. You do that. You do that a lot. Before you even play the next note, you often think it probably is going here. That sounds like it's going to be a 4 chord coming up, an A chord or a G chord, or that phrase usually resolves like this. And it says you're often right. So you do that a lot. Yeah. Occasionally, Rick will hit wrong notes, and you'll voice to me, you'll say, that didn't go where I thought it was.
Yeah, well, the song itself, when we're playing, if it's something that's new to me,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll have a sense of where it's going, and sometimes I'm just completely surprised. It's gone off a different direction, like Diamonds in the Rough. When we played it at the Heritage Center, it's the first time we really had played it, and we played it there in front of folks. But I went off in left field with part of the very first part of it.
But you recognized
But
it.
it came to me the next time through. It was okay.
But you were using your prediction powers to predict. So
Yeah.
we will get to the point where we can do that too. And most of the time, what you predict is correct.
Not always, but that's okay.
Okay, so the final stage is the conversation stage. At this point, music starts to feel like you're speaking the language. You can pick up the melodies quickly. You can jam more comfortably with others. You can improvise on small variations, and you can create your own tunes while noodling around. You're no longer just decoding the music from a sheet of paper, but you're actually participating in it. So how about that? Good deal?
Good deal.
All right, so let's just kind of talk about what we talked about just to sum things up. So we talked about that learning music by ear is like learning a language by ear. We talked about what we should be able to do at this time in our learning curve, that we're recognizing notes going up and down, picking out simple melodies, and then it might still take us a while to pick out a tune, a long time to pick out a tune. But that's going to be changing just in the next few months. We're going to see a lot of progress on that, right? Then we started talking about why the dulcimer is a good instrument to learn by ear, because it's just the design of the dulcimer, the tuning of the dulcimer lends itself to learning by ear, because you have the do, re, mi scale in your tuning. Your melody note and bass note are often tuned the same. If you go across all three strings, you've got the drones going on. The dulcimer's tuned for the drones. That helps you keep centered. So the dulcimer is a good instrument for that. And then finally, we talked about the different stages of learning by ear. There was the treasure hunt, the up and down, pattern recognition, predicting, and then the conversation stage. I think I am, on some of them I'm still at the treasure hunt stage. Some songs I'm at the pattern recognition stage, and some songs I'm at the up and down stage. So I guess that makes sense that you would be at different stages on different songs.
I don't know if you ever get completely away from all of that. It just gets a little quicker
Right.
to solve those, to get those in place. It just happens quicker as you go. So,
You probably go through each one of these stages with each song. So that makes sense. That makes sense. So we're getting there. And for less than 3 months, we're right on target. Don't be discouraged. Just keep on. They say 10 to 15 minutes a day, every day. Audiate, active listen, and find the notes on your dulcimer. Those are all you got to do for 10 to 15 minutes a day. I think I can do that.
do you practice? Do you sit around and practice like scales or a song or anything? Or you may be now, but did you, before this, did you do any of that at all?
I
Or
didn't.
did you just sit down and play pick out a song and play since you can sight read?
Pretty much my practice would be pulling out tab and practicing that. And then, of course, as you know, some of my tab is fancier, and you have to practice it. You have to practice it for quite some time to be able to
I
finger
heard
it and do it.
Richard Woods say at the class the other day, and so he asked how long did people practice, and he said someone told him not to.
Yeah.
Don't practice. Just play songs and patterns and things. And I kind of like that because I don't practice. I don't know that I ever did, unless it was a song that I really needed to learn for a reason to play somewhere, and or one that I didn't know at all. But that a little bit of practice, but that's kind of just building those skills.
Well,
And
I
then once
think
it's
practice is ingrained in a formal paper-trained musician. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not in the ear musicians, because you really got to,
Yep.
be around others and hear and play and that kind of stuff. I mean, sometimes maybe you're listening to a song on the radio and, trying to learn and pick it out. So you could practice in that sense.
I do like the idea of practice as far as scales, just to find your way, just familiarize yourself with the fretboard and where the notes are of the scale. If I don't know, it doesn't matter what I'm playing, I have to know where that scale is in the key that I'm playing in. Once I know that, I can pretty much find my way around a song.
Right.
But that's not instant as far as the instrument. Even a chromatic instrument's got all the frets there. I've learned which frets to use to find the scale, and that's pretty much the common frets that I use, whether I play ukulele or guitar or mandolin. It seems to be the same frets. And if I put a capo on, it's the same frets above that to play. I just got certain ones that I know now to play on.
Right.
And it works. I don't even have to think about it now. So.
Right, absolutely. Well, I take hammer dulcimer lessons from Mark Allen Wade, and a while back I told him, I said, I haven't I haven't done anything. I really need to practice. And he told me, he said, I don't want you to practice. I just want you to play. I just want you to play.
There it is again.
So there you go. Okay, so I think that concludes this lesson. We are not going to have a new song this time because it's just the second week on Wildwood Flower, and we're still trying to work on our other tunes and get them moved over into the permanent side of our brain. And is there anything else we're forgetting? A call and response video is already posted, and there will be more posted very soon. So you could practice with those. And we also have one, it says, need a boost, join our jam. And it's trying to play through the songs that we have in the challenge so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So go and watch and play along with those. That's all we got.
See you next time.
Woo, woo, woo.